Is there not an entire section on this subject?
No, yes, I may have changed my mind in the meantime on that, so it's unfair. I may have changed my mind about Mithra, for example.
Is your book for sale about it?
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you.
But have you ever asked God for forgiveness? I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so.
Let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you, let me.
Say it like you mean it. This is my Bible.
What up? I got something to say.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Give people a chance to jump back on the live stream. So, for those of you who watched the debate, and by far so much better than the last debate with Trump and Biden. They did. There was very little interrupting. There was a little bit. They went over their time a bit, which is understandable. Some of these questions are really hard to answer in 2 minutes, especially when you're answering the question beforehand, and you're not even answering the question half the time. So, yeah, that was it. It was better. The moderator, again, she at least she didn't become a third debater. And that was something that I appreciated. She just stuck to trying to enforce the rules, letting them speak, trying to shut them down when their time was up. So it was good. Again, I'm trying to think back and remember all the things I should have taken more notes. I actually took no notes. I was too busy eating chips and drinking diet soda the whole time. So this episode brought to you by chips and diet soda. But really, the whole issue, I liked Pence's answer on the Breonna Taylor situation. Again, I did a whole episode on this. That whole thing was tragic, but again, there were no laws that were broken that would cause these officers to need to be indicted. The one that was indicted for reckless endangerment and so on. So he did well on that, but that last answer, the last question, I honestly think he did a little better because he gave a contrast of RBG and Antonin Scalia and the fact that they were friends. You know, I have people that I love immensely that I disagree with vehemently on the situation. My cousin Matt, my sister-in-law Anaya, guys in the Reformed hip-hop community, you know, the Fanatic, I'm trying to think of other guys, Propaganda, you know, some of these guys that I respect, I appreciate, Tabidi Anyabwile, and so on, that are on polar opposites of so many situations. You know, I mean, I look at, you know, again, James White, Tabidi Anyabwile, Jeff Durbin, yeah, I had to stop and think. Eric Mason, I do still respect the man. I mean, the book, I haven't read Woke Church, but I know goes down a place that I just don't agree with. But I have great respect for him. Vodi Balcom, you know, so many people that are on polar opposites, but yet we should be coming together, especially as Christians, and letting our Christianity overpower all of that. And again, the argument of whether or not the gospel takes care of everything, the gospel is the core. If we are not centered on the gospel, then none of the rest of it means anything. Again, if the hearts of men are not regenerate, then they're not going to change. There's not going to be, you know, racial reconciliation. There's not going to be, you know, economic help or any of those things if it's not for the fact that the people are changed by the gospel. I don't expect those who are not Christians to act like Christians, and I absolutely do not expect those who profess the name of Christ and profess to be Christians to act like the pagans and the heathens, and yeah, I'm going to go there, the Marxists and the communists. You know, again, socialism is a failure of a economic and governmental system, and it has never succeeded anywhere. You know, all these things that are being brought up. You know, again, taxing. I've paid less in taxes since Trump's tax cut. It did not just affect. It is dishonest to say that it only affected those who are the wealthiest. Did it benefit them? Yes. Did it benefit everybody else? Yes. Is an essential repeal of that going to affect everybody and de facto raise everybody's taxes? Yes. So to come in and just absolutely wipe that out is going to cause everybody across the board. You know, she talked about free college and so on, 2-year junior college and so on. Someone has to pay for that. You say the word free, but it is not free. Someone has to pay for that. A capitalist society is the only way we can maintain the things that are there. And if you can't afford to go to college, you either take out the loan that many have and pay them off, or you don't go. My wife went to college. We're still paying off her student loans. I didn't go. That's the way it works out. College is not a right. It is a privilege. Healthcare, not a right. We are not entitled to government health care. We're not. Should the church step up and help in those situations? Absolutely. We recognize the state of what the church should do as opposed to what the government should do. The church should be involved in charity work, in helping the poor, in feeding those who need to be fed, in clothing those who need to be clothed, in visiting those who are in prison. Everything that Jesus talked about. But that is not socialism. That is not to each according to his ability, to each according to his need. Or from each according to his ability to eat. Because what you get is you get people who quit working because they want to get it off the free dime. So it does not work. Christianity bolsters and maintains a capitalist society far better than it does in a socialist society. So again, talk about free, Green New Deal, stuff like that. Do I believe that climate change is an existential threat? Absolutely not. Is there something to climate change? Sure. We've seen a rise of a fraction of a degree over many years. Is it there? It's called weather. It seriously is. We can look at because again, we see all these things where science, it depends on where you're at and looking at the same data, coming up with different conclusions. We know that the cycles have gone up and down from warming to cooling. When I was a kid, we were facing a new ice age. Now it's, global warming. How long until we end up where we're facing a new ice age again? Forest management will absolutely help with the wildfires. I don't have an answer for hurricanes. I do not see how man's emissions and so on have increased hurricanes. Are hurricanes bad? Are they dangerous? Absolutely. Is that because of some incremental increase in the temperature? I don't know. But I don't see it as the existential threat that they're trying to make it out to be. The Supreme Court. I am more in favor of this nominee of Trump's than any other nominee he has made. Again, what they put Brett Kavanaugh through was unconscionable. The false allegations and stuff that came out about that guy were horrifying. I don't think they should ever nominate. I won't say that. But any man who is nominated to the Supreme Court ever again, especially on a conservative side, be ready for a battle because they're going to pull things out of the woodwork. Obviously, there's not much of a chance that they're going to get somebody to say Amy Coney Barrett sexually assaulted them. But they're going to come up with something. Again, we've already seen the attacks on her faith. We've already seen the attacks on the fact that she adopted children from Haiti, questioning whether it was legitimate or not. So she's going to go through a battle as well. I understand. I don't know anything about Abraham Lincoln and not making a nomination or not. But I do go back just a few years ago, and I see the hypocrisy in the Republicans' refusal to even give Merrick Garland a hearing. He never got a hearing. They refused to give him a hearing. So I can see the hypocrisy in that and the demanding that Amy Coney Barrett get a hearing. But again, all's fair apparently in love and politics. And so Trump made a nomination, Obama made a nomination. If the Democrats were in control of the Senate, they could shut it down and not give Amy a hearing. They're not. So she'll get one. Pretty sure she's going to get confirmed before the election. I have no doubt that that's going to happen before the election. And I have no doubt that we're not going to know the results of this election the day after. And I said that the last time, and I was pleasantly surprised. I'm praying that there's no huge issues or not. But again, we'll see what happens in 27 days. And yes, get out and vote. Whichever direction you're going to vote, I want people to vote. But again, I really felt like both Biden last week and Kamala Harris this week, when they said, get out and vote early, they were fighting not to say and often. Is mail-in ballots going to open up the possibility for fraud? Yeah, we've seen it in Ilhan Omar's district. We've seen the potential for fraud. It's there. I'm hoping that we'll be able to work against it, but we'll see. Again, we'll see what happens when the election comes. I hope there's another debate between the president and Joe Biden next week. If there is, I will do the same thing that I did tonight, and we'll sit down and we'll watch it as much as I can. Next week, I will actually have a job that I will have to go to. And it'll be at night. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the whole thing. I'm going to have to be watching the clock, and we'll see what time I wake up and so on. So we'll see what happens next week if there's even a debate. Because honestly, I don't think the Democrats want to put Joe Biden back out there with the possibility for the gaffes that he can make. So again, did tonight's debate change anybody's mind? I seriously doubt it. It was far more civil. It was far more well handled. There was better decorum this time, which I was glad for. But again, I think those who are committed to Trump are committed to Trump. To those that are committed to Biden are committed to Biden. And I still think those who are in the middle are just kind of tossed. I don't think this changed any minds. I think there are a great deal of people in this country who are like me, who honestly, this is my hope. I hope there are enough people in this country who are like me, who are sitting in this place going, I cannot in good conscience vote for either one of these men. And I hope there are enough people who will stand by their conscience, that they won't just say, I'm going to vote for one because I can't stand the thought of having the other. Once upon a time in this country, there was a standard that we maintained, and we've lost it in our media, in our politics, in our society at large. Never in my lifetime have I seen so many people willing to condone violence and looting the way we've seen in the riots that have happened. And never in my lifetime have I seen the willingness to excuse just debauchery and sin and just poor ethical and moral standards for the sake of a party. And it breaks my heart to see where we're at as a nation. And I'm hoping that after 4 years goes by, that we can get somebody that I can look at and go, this is a man or a woman. Female president is a whole nother thing and a whole nother topic. Again, I don't think that the president is equal to the role of elder or pastor in a church. That I would absolutely say a woman cannot biblically hold that job. But I do think that the Bible lays out some very clear roles for women, and the head of a government does not necessarily seem like that is something that God endorses. And again, before you go to look at Deborah was a judge, but she was not the headship of Israel at that time. She was not meeting in public. It says that she was meeting as a judge in private. People were coming to her to receive her as a judge in private. So she was not Israel's leader. And she was not endorsed as Israel's leader by God. Was it Barak? Sisera was the enemy. I get the story confused. Barak was the man that should have been leading Israel and refused to do so. So you can miss me with that argument. Probably won't, but we'll have that conversation another day. But if a female president came up as a conservative and, again, trying to think of anybody that I would off the top of my head, I'm not coming up with anybody. Help me out, people, if there's but a Ted Cruz, a Mike Lee, any number of men, and I'm sure there are women that could do this. Conservative, pro-life, separation of powers, willing to, live up to the Constitution the way the Constitution should be, that I am willing to vote for them. I just can't. I can't do Trump. I can't do Biden. Morally, I find both reprehensible. And although I am far happier with Trump's policies and so on, it still does not change the fact that I find him as a moral entity not qualified to be the president of the United States. Call that ironic, call that hypocritical, call it what you will. Paradoxical, I don't know. That's where I stand. This debate didn't change my mind. Seriously doubt the next one will, but I'm willing to sit and watch and listen. And again, that's what we all should be able to do. We should all be able to sit and watch and listen, be willing to hear, but use discernment and recognize when you're being fed a line of bull. I almost did it. I almost went there, Jeff Durbin. That's another story. Yeah, I ain't mad at you. So there you go, guys. My thoughts, ramblings. It is what it is, as the debate has come and gone. So till next time, we'll see if there's another one next week. But as I say, preach the gospel at all times. Use words; they're necessary. And until next time, Soli Deo Gloria.